When cases of COVID-19 began being reported in Wuhan, China in 2020, it didn't take long for Canadians of Chinese and other Asian backgrounds to feel the backlash. The growth of anti-Asian hate also came into sharp focus in 2021 when a mass shooting in Atlanta targeted women of Asian descent, killing 6. Now, a new report is taking a closer look at the deep toll of anti-Asian hate. We are joined by one of the study's authors and associate professors at the University of Toronto, Dr. Izumi Sakamoto. Good morning, Dr. Sakamoto.
Good morning.
Let's talk about it. The report in 2020, 2020 in hindsight, you point out in the report anti-Asian hate at that point was not contained to 2020. So let's talk about some of the major findings from the report.
Sure. So it was surprising to hear from a range of Chinese Canadian community participants about anti-Asian racism beyond the numbers and sensational stories. Even if people didn't encounter obvious blatant racist acts, every single one of them was affected by anti-Asian racism in many different ways. For example, if they were essential workers, they might have had slurs thrown at them, shoved at the store, yelled at, go back to China, that kind of thing. And if you have elderly in the family, you were telling them to stay home for fear that they may get attacked on the street. There are people who are randomly attacked, and also people who didn't get attacked, but felt so confined in their own places. And when they got anti-Asian racism instance experience, they didn't necessarily feel that they have the right or legitimacy to talk about it. Mm-hmm. So they felt really sense of hopelessness and helplessness, which is the Chinese word unai.
Unai is what many of them, is what you felt in all those different situations.
That's right. So it's not like, hey, I had this incident happen to me. So it was rare that people felt right to talk about it. Rather, I'm a model minority, I should just fit in and not to make trouble, or that if I talk about it, it's gonna bother my family and friends.
Is that the biggest reason for family and friends and fearing about it? Because, the report found that a lot of people didn't want to come forward. They didn't want to bring about this. And whether it was shame or otherwise, was it family and friends the biggest one, or what was the biggest reason why people didn't want to come forward?
Another reason was that it was insidious. So was it really racism? I didn't get killed. I don't have bruises. Is it considered racism? So people didn't know how to identify anti-Asian racism. So I would often talk about Margaret Cho, 1,000 paper cuts, like anti-Asian racism. So it hurts, but it's not enough to show to emergency room. So is it still valid? So that was a prevailing feelings as well.
Yeah, and it's devastating to think to know that people have gone through this. So, and you have talked about calls to action. Not only did you examine the anti-Asian racism, but now you have a few calls to action. What are a couple of the biggest ones?
Sure. Just raise awareness throughout educational environment. So as soon as kids enter kindergarten, teachers should talk about it, and parents should talk about it. And it's great to talk about achievements of Asian Canadians, like in Asian Heritage Month coming up in May. But we should also talk about the ongoing hate that prevails in our society. Also, public sector, government, there should be more funding for Asian Canadian communities to deal with this issue, to do outreach and educational initiatives. Also, in general public and different sectors, there should be more senior management, Asian people of Asian descent represented.
We really appreciate you taking the time for us this morning to talk about your report, Dr. Sakamoto. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Hey, thanks for watching. If you liked this, be sure to subscribe here, or you can check out more Your Morning videos right here.